So who am I speaking with?
So my name is Aza Raskin. I'm currently the co-founder for Massive Health, which is a little company trying to make a big change in healthcare.
And you gave a great presentation about how to create prototypes and influence people, really just sort of get people to sort of see your idea and participate in the idea. And one of the things you talked about is that creating that space between when you create that idea and the space for other people to see. What are you talking about specifically there, and why is that important?
So when I think of space, what I really mean is that you want to create a vacuum into which somebody else moves. So when you present an idea, it can be as simple as leading somebody up the first three steps and then never saying that last step and letting them come up with that final step themselves. Because when a person has an idea and it's theirs, they'll believe it so much more strongly than if you told them. So, in fact, a great example of this is Inception, where, well, while they taught you that it takes all sorts of technology to go implant a false memory, which we know actually just takes around 15 minutes to implant a false memory.
We all know that. Is that we all know that? I think you're saying a lot of.
Sorry, cognitive scientists know that, but Inception very clearly made the point that if a person comes up with an idea on their own, much stronger if somebody else gives it to them. Right? Same thing is true here. So when you make a prototype, you in fact don't want to fill in all the edges, because if you do, that leaves no place for other people's creativity. So by leaving blank spots that actually are obviously blank, people make the obvious suggestion, and by doing so, they'll now have ownership over the thing. And that makes it much easier to get a group of people to make something because they have responsibility and ownership.
Can you think of an example of your own or somebody else's where you created that blank spot and they started to answer, and then it opened your eyes, and then there was essentially, sort of a back and forth engagement and sort of advanced the prototype further?
So one of the things when we were doing Firefox Panorama is originally...
And you used to work for Firefox or for Mozilla.
I was creative lead for Firefox for a while. Is when you switch between groups of tabs, we wouldn't show... Actually, we didn't even have the idea of groups per se. You'd group your stuff, you'd go in, and you wouldn't see any of the other tabs. It was all done using a zooming in, zooming out. And we knew that wasn't going to work very well. But we let other people make that suggestion. We got it so many times, mainly because we hadn't got around to implementing it. And then we turned around and said, hey, we've got all this feedback saying that we really should have these sort of tab groups that have persistent tabs when you're in them. We're going to go make that feature now. It made this huge group of people that had given us that feedback, the feeling that we were listening to them, even though we already knew we were going to do it. So that's the kind of creating space which pulls people in so they make a suggestion, which you can do. And now there are a lot of things that people actually suggested which we hadn't thought of, which we also implemented. So you don't want to do it too disingenuous all the time. But it's those sorts of things that creates that vacuum.
And it's really just, it's that gentle balance, knowing how to play it right. If you make, can you spell dog, then they're going to think that you're toying with them and they're not going to jump in.
That's right. This is why I say that the hardest part of software is not software, it's not design, it's culture. It's because those soft skills are the most important things in actually doing your job the right way.
Excellent. Hey, thanks so much for your time, and I loved your presentation.
Thanks so much.